Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into world affairs and global strategy. So, everyone thought Canada would wait for America's approval. Everyone assumed that when it came to defending the Arctic, Canada would simply follow Washington's lead. And, well, everyone believed that a country of 42 million couldn't possibly stand on its own against continental pressure. But everyone was wrong. Distinguished viewers, on October 30th, 2025, Prime Minister Mark Carney stepped into the Hanwha Ocean shipyards in South Korea and sent a message that echoed across the Pacific. Canada is building its own future, regardless of what happens in Washington. This wasn't just a factory visit. It was a deliberate, calculated statement about sovereignty. Canada was saying, "We will defend our own Arctic. We will make our own defense decisions. We will not wait for permission." This moment represents far more than a submarine contract. It marks a fundamental shift in how Canada sees its place in the world. And while most of the media focuses on trade wars and tariffs, this strategic decision could matter far more for Canada's long-term security and independence. If you believe Canada should control its own Arctic destiny, if you're proud that we're building the power to defend ourselves, hit that like button. What you're about to see explains why this moment changes everything. To understand why Carney went to South Korea, we need to look at a crisis that has quietly weakened Canada's defense for decades. Canada's submarine fleet is dying, not metaphorically but literally. The Royal Canadian Navy operates 4 Victoria-class submarines, diesel-electric vessels bought from the United Kingdom in the 1990s. Only one of them is operational. One submarine, for a nation with the world's longest coastline, where the Arctic is melting and opening up to Russian and Chinese activity. Canada can only have one submarine at sea at any given time. For those who remember Canada's defense debates from the 2000s and 2010s, this reflects an institutional failure of the highest order. Politicians promise new submarines. Defense ministers announce timelines. Years passed. Nothing happened. Meanwhile, Russian submarines began operating regularly in the Arctic. Chinese icebreakers appeared in polar waters. The United States kept pressing Canada to invest more in Arctic defense, not out of friendship, but because American security depends on Canadian sovereignty in the North. By the time Carney took office in March 2025, the Victoria-class submarines were nearing retirement. The last would be decommissioned by the mid-2030s, and Canada had no replacement, no plan, no timeline, just a void. Arctic sea ice is retreating faster than anyone predicted. The Northwest Passage, once frozen year-round, now opens months earlier every year. Within a decade, commercial shipping will regularly transit those waters. Within 2 decades, the Arctic will be as economically vital as the Suez Canal. Whoever controls Arctic surveillance, navigation, and security will shape Arctic governance for generations. Russia knows this. China knows this. The United States knows this. Carney understood that Canada couldn't be the one power that didn't. So, in 2025, his government accelerated the Canadian Patrol Submarine Project, a plan for 12 next-generation submarines capable of operating under polar ice, with advanced sensors built for the harshest conditions on Earth. 12 submarines, not to fight other nations, but to defend Canadian sovereignty in Canadian waters. To ensure that when shipping, mining, or military operations happen in the Arctic, Canada is watching, Canada is present, and Canada is in control. This is where South Korea comes in, not as a done deal, but as a strategic option offering what America and its allies could not: speed, capability, and independence. Hanwha Ocean, one of the world's leading shipbuilders, already operates proven diesel-electric submarines in Asia and Europe. Its KSS-3 class features advanced lithium-ion batteries, a 19,000-kilometer range, and up to 21 days of submerged endurance. These aren't theoretical specs, they're proven, operational capabilities. If Canada signs a deal by late 2026, the first submarine could arrive by 2032. All 12 could be active by 2043, just as the Arctic becomes the geopolitical flashpoint the world expects. Compare that to American suppliers, where procurement could stretch into the 2050s. The difference is simple: sovereignty versus dependence. Carney's October 30th visit wasn't random. It was part of a carefully planned procurement process that began in August 2025, when Canada shortlisted Hanwha Ocean and ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems from Germany. Both were capable. Both met Canadian requirements. But Carney's choice to tour the Korean shipyard sent a clear message. Canada is serious about diversification. For 75 years, Canadian defense meant buying from America or United States-aligned suppliers. But South Korea builds differently, on commercial timelines with modern manufacturing efficiency and without American veto power. Choosing Korea means a submarine fleet Canada fully controls. It means Arctic cooperation that doesn't require American approval. It means Canadian security is finally independent. But the submarines are just one part of a much bigger shift. Carney's government has committed to NATO's 2% defense spending target, something Canada long avoided. That means billions going into Arctic surveillance, satellite networks, cyber defense, and, AI-driven monitoring systems. By 2028, Canada will spend between $20 and $24 billion on the submarine program alone. Across the board, defense spending is accelerating, covering Arctic patrol vessels, drone systems, and radar technology built for polar conditions. For a country once defined by peacekeeping, this marks a dramatic turn toward independent defense. Defense, sovereignty, the ability to say, "This is our territory, and we will protect it." Why does this matter so much? Because the Arctic is where global power will be tested over the next 30 years. Russian activity has tripled since 2015. Chinese vessels are now appearing in polar regions. The US Navy is expanding its Arctic presence. And Canada? For too long, it's treated the Arctic as symbolic, important in speeches, but not in action. Carney is changing that. Submarines under polar ice can track activity, enforce boundaries, and respond to emergencies, making Canadian sovereignty operational, not theoretical. One submarine is symbolic. 12 submarines are sovereignty, deterrence, and control. Here's the irony. Washington pushed Canada to strengthen its Arctic defense. Now that we're doing exactly that, by partnering with South Korea, some American analysts are concerned. They worry it reduces US influence or complicates NATO integration. But they're missing the point. Canada's Arctic defense isn't about NATO. It's about Canadian independence. These submarines don't need to be American-built. They need to be reliable, effective, and under Canadian command. When the Arctic becomes the global flashpoint everyone predicts, Canada must not be dependent. Canada must be ready. There's also an industrial side to Carney's plan. Submarine production means jobs in shipyards, engineering, manufacturing, and software. A $20 to $24 billion contract means massive economic stimulus for Canada's defense sector. Partnering with Hanwha doesn't mean outsourcing. It means building production inside Canada, training Canadian workers, and strengthening domestic industry. This is economic strategy disguised as military procurement. Carney's way of saying, we will be sovereign not just militarily, but industrially. Some will argue this move distances Canada from American alliance structures, but that confuses alliance with subordination. Canada's commitment to NATO and NORAD remains strong, but cooperation doesn't mean dependence. Canadian commanded submarines with advanced sensors actually strengthen Western defense. They ensure that Russia and China face a united North America, one where Canada is an equal partner, not an afterthought. A final decision between Hanwha Ocean and ThyssenKrupp is expected by late 2026. Contracts could be signed by 2028, with the first submarine arriving by 2032 and full fleet capability by 2043. That's 2 decades of transformation, building capacity, training crews, and making the Arctic genuinely Canadian. This isn't just about submarines. It's about a nation rediscovering what sovereignty really means. It's about investing in ourselves instead of waiting for others to protect us. The post-war system where America guaranteed our safety has changed. Carney's government is preparing for a world where Canada must defend itself, where the Arctic is contested and partnerships are built on strategy, not dependency. If you believe Canada deserves control over its Arctic future, if you're proud to see us standing on our own terms, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell to stay updated. Because the decisions being made today will echo through the next 50 years of Canadian Arctic history. The ocean is shifting, and for the first time in generations, Canada is finally taking command of its own waters.